Cedar Grove Mansion stood proud upon a bluff overlooking the Yazoo River, its grandeur impossible to ignore. Located at 2200 Oak Street in Vicksburg, Mississippi, the mansion's towering columns and sweeping verandas capture the essence of antebellum Southern beauty. Its lush gardens, winding paths, and tranquil fountains seem like a dream to those who walked its grounds, a dream that hid the dark secrets it had witnessed over the years. It all began when John Klein, a young man of just 30, married Elizabeth Bartley Day, a mere 16 years of age, in a union that seemed destined for history. As a wedding gift, John presented Elizabeth with the sprawling Cedar Grove Hall, a grand house built on the promise of their future together. But the mansion wasn't completed until 1852, and it wasn't long before it became the site of joy, laughter, and tragedy, a house marked by the burdens of time. In the early years, John and Elizabeth had 10 children, a bustling family that filled the halls with noise and life. But not all of their children were meant to grow up in the house. 3 of them died before reaching adulthood, their spirits leaving an indelible mark on the mansion. Yet, it wasn't only the loss of life that would haunt Cedar Grove. The Civil War would strike a cruel blow to the family, and the mansion would witness the horrors of battle, not through its walls, but through the upheaval brought by the Union Army. Elizabeth, whose ties to General Sherman were well known, would soon face the wrath of war. The home would turn into a hospital, a refuge for the wounded, while Elizabeth, pregnant with another child, was sent away for safety. This was only the beginning of the mansion's dark history. As the war raged on, Cedar Grove stood silent, its peaceful facade shattered by the sounds of conflict. John Klein, a man who fought for the South, was away, leaving Elizabeth to bear the weight of war on her own. When Union forces drew near, Elizabeth's connections to General Sherman spared her the horrors of invasion. Sherman, determined to protect her, ensured that she was sent away to safety, far from the approaching forces. Yet, Cedar Grove was not spared from the ravages of war. General Sherman, ever pragmatic, turned the mansion into a hospital for the wounded soldiers of both sides. Its once grand halls became filled with the cries of men in agony, the stench of blood and medicine hanging thick in the air. While Elizabeth gave birth to her son far from the war's reach, the mansion's walls bore witness to horrors that would never truly fade. John Klein returned unharmed after the war's end, but the mansion would never be the same. It was a home scarred by loss, by death, and by the blood that had soaked its floors. The wounds of war, physical and emotional, left deep marks on the family, marks that would echo through the generations. After the war, life returned to Cedar Grove in a quiet, subdued fashion. John and Elizabeth raised their surviving children within its walls, trying to build a new life amidst the shadows of the past. But even as they moved forward, the specter of death loomed large. One of their sons, only 17 years old, was accidentally killed in a tragic shooting. The boy had dropped his gun, and when it discharged, it struck him, ending his young life in an instant. The pain of this loss seemed too much to bear for the family, but it was just the beginning. 2 infants died in the years that followed, the cries of their mothers echoing through the mansion's rooms. One daughter succumbed to a childhood disease, her life snuffed out before it had even truly begun. The mansion, once filled with the laughter and joy of children, now reverberated with the silence of grief. John Klein, a man hardened by war and loss, could only watch as the house he had built became a monument to the death of his loved ones. He, too, was burdened by the weight of those who had passed, his spirits never allowed to rest. In life, he had been a quiet observer, but now, as a ghost, he was a silent guardian, forever bound to Cedar Grove. It was in 1983 that Cedar Grove Mansion once again changed hands, purchased by Estelle and Ted Mackey. The mansion, though beautiful, was aging, and the Mackeys sought to restore it to its former glory. They spent countless hours bringing the mansion back to life, preserving the historical integrity of the house, just as it had been when John and Elizabeth Klein had lived there. But it was then, in the quiet moments of restoration, that strange occurrences began to unfold. At first, it was subtle, a flicker of light, a chill in the air, the creak of floorboards when no one was around. But as time went on, the manifestations grew stronger. The most unsettling of all were the whispers that echoed to the hallways at night, the low murmur of voices as though the house itself were alive, whispering the names of those who had passed. John Klein's presence was the first to be felt. The distinct scent of his pipe tobacco would waft through the halls, lingering in the air like a memory, as if he were still walking the rooms of his home. The faint sound of footsteps would follow, slow and deliberate, as though someone were walking just behind them. No one ever saw John's ghost directly, but his presence was undeniable. He was there, always watching, always protecting. Then there were the children. The sound of laughter could be heard echoing through the mansion, the faint cries of a baby filling the empty rooms. Sometimes, at night, the soft thud of tiny feet could be heard running up and down the stairs, the ghostly play of children long gone. And sometimes, when the house was quiet, Elizabeth's spirit would manifest. Her figure, dressed in a flowing gown, would be seen descending the grand staircase. Silent, graceful, she moved as though she was still alive, still waiting for her husband to return home from war. Her presence was felt most strongly in the quiet hours, when the house seemed to come alive with the past. As the years passed, Cedar Grove Mansion became more than just a historical site. It became a place where the living coexisted with the dead. The Mackeys were not the only ones to feel the presence of the spirits that haunted the mansion. Visitors, too, would experience strange phenomena, unexplained noises, cold spots, and fleeting glimpses of figures in the shadows. There were stories of people being gently nudged as they walked through the halls, as though someone invisible was guiding them. A few brave souls even claimed to have seen the shadows of the lost children playing in the yard, their laughter ringing through the air like a memory from another time. Yet, despite these strange occurrences, Cedar Grove continued to be a beloved place. It was a bed and breakfast now, offering its guests a chance to experience the beauty of the mansion, the lush gardens, and the historic architecture. But there was always a sense that something lingered in the air, something waiting just beyond the corner of your eye. John Klein's spirit remained a constant presence in the mansion, an ever-watchful guardian of the home he had built. His ghost did not come to terrorize, but to protect. The mansion was his legacy, his family's history, and he would not let it slip into ruin. In the quiet moments, when the house settled into sleep, his presence was felt, a reminder that Cedar Grove, though a monument to the past, was still a place where life, death, and memory intertwined. As the years stretched on, Cedar Grove Mansion stood proud and eternal, its history woven into the fabric of the house. The ghosts of the past, John, Elizabeth, and their lost children, would never truly leave. They walked the halls, played in the gardens, and waited for the day when they would be remembered, not just as phantoms, but as the heart of home they had built together. In Cedar Grove, the past never truly dies. It lingers in the laughter of children, the scent of tobacco, and the silent watch of a loving father. And for as long as the mansion stands, the ghosts will continue to haunt its halls, waiting for their story to be told time and time again.